Saudi Arabia's coalition has bombed the rebel-controlled defence ministry building in Yemen's capital. The latest round of airstrikes also targeted Houthi positions in other parts of the country, killing dozens. Amid the relentless Saudi-led aerial campaign, Yemen's been plunging ever deeper into a humanitarian crisis. The head of the International Red Cross delegation in Yemen has just returned from witnessing the struggles people are going through there. He described the dire humanitarian situation to us.
There's no anymore electricity in Yemen today, and the only way to get the machine functioning and the treatment to be given to the patients is through the generator. And if there is no fuel, there is no machine functioning and no proper treatment for the patient. We have a big problem of access to fuel. The only possibility to give water to people is through pumping station. And without fuel, no water is accessible. We're not able to receive and to import this very critical medicine for chronic disease. And here we don't speak about thousands of people, we speak about millions, 26 millions of civilians on population at risk. And there is a need really for decision and to ensure that the fuel and the commercial system can work again. We cannot start to deliver fuel to 26 million of people or food to 26 million of people. We need political decision.
Another threat to Yemen's civilian population is the weapons that the Saudi coalition is using to fight the Houthi rebels. Human Rights Watch has published evidence that internationally banned cluster bombs are being dropped. The Red Cross says they're concerned that many civilians are getting caught in the strikes.
We speak about principle of distinction, and it's very a concern for us. And we need to have a dialogue with all the parties to this conflict to ensure that they respect the civil population. When you target, for example, ammunition depot, you have to take into consideration that a lot of civilians is living around. And we've seen several times a lot of civilian casualties, and it's something we have to address. And it's what we try to do now, to address our concern to the different parties, to the coalition, to try to take this into consideration.
Washington's preparing to step up its involvement against Islamic State. US officials say hundreds of new troops will be sent to train Iraqi forces who are struggling to push back the terrorists. RT's In the Now looked into whether the White House is making a difference or not.
Exactly 1 year ago, ISIS took the Iraqi city of Mosul, and that's how the globe found out about the most destructive terrorist group in the world.
Iraq's Prime Minister calling for a state of emergency after hundreds of gunmen took control of strategic parts of the northern city of Mosul.
They've taken control of hospitals, police stations.
The ISIL forced the army to retreat.
Reports say gunmen have also seized a nearby oil refinery town.
Iraq Body Count has reported that the number of civilians killed in Iraq in 2014, when ISIS began its assaults there, is more than 17,000. That's 2 times the figure of 2013. And that, of course, doesn't include Syria, where civilians are dying too. Despite the U.S. leading a bombing campaign against the terrorists, ISIS has managed to seize some key areas like Ramadi in Iraq and Palmyra in Syria. And around the world, policemen still don't know what to do with this group.
We don't yet have a complete strategy. The details of that are not yet worked out.
Joining me in the Now is Saeed Arikat. He's the former UN spokesman for Iraq, with us from Washington. Saeed, were there clues that ISIS would grow into this huge monster?
Indeed. I think when they took over Mosul last year, it was all over. I mean, you could see that. It was as clear as day. The problem is that those who are fighting ISIS, at least the United States of America, did not have a strategy then. It does not have a strategy today. I mean, you know, when the President of the United States says we don't have a complete strategy, that tells me that they don't really have a strategy, that it is ad hoc, basically. It may be honest, but that doesn't mean that you are going to defeat ISIS, because he said that we're going to degrade and defeat ISIS. Obviously, neither degrading nor defeating has really taken place, Anissa, thus far. Quite the contrary. We have seen ISIS expand beyond what was even imaginable a year ago. Now they have a larger geography altogether than the whole of Syria.
Islamic State says it's also battling the Taliban for control over parts of Afghanistan. Former President of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, told us the terrorist agenda could be orchestrated from abroad. Here's some of an interview we're set to bring you in full on Thursday.
The ISIL or Daesh is not an indigenous product of Afghanistan. It is the result of events in Iraq and Syria and the result of foreign interference in those countries. If Daesh in Iraq is indigenous and has gained force out of the grievances of Iraq, of the Iraqi people, then why not? The Iraqi government surely will talk to them. If the same is the case in Syria, sure, the Syrian government will have to talk to them. But if they are a force, even in Iraq and Syria, created by an outside force, used by an outside force, then they are there for a purpose of destruction by an outside force. In that scenario, definitely one cannot talk to them. That
controversial trade agreement between Europe and America slammed by critics.